welcome to Critical Babe Theory. My name is Francesca Root Dodson. I feel like I should say my name is so significant. It's so long.
It's so long, but I love it because my girls have hyphenated last names.
Oh, do that?
Oh, yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
So to introduce you and not your girls, this is Leigh Weingus. Mm-hmm. She's the deputy editor of, is it of Health and Wellness at Parade or deputy editor
deputy editor, health and wellness Parade.
So you have punctuation in your job description.
Yeah.
Wow.
A comma. It's incredible.
That's really cool.
Yeah.
So your background, so you're a journalist and your background is health and
wellness.
All that comes to bear on that.
Yeah.
Full disclosure, we're both from the Bay Area.
We are both from the Bay Area, but we met in New York, which is crazy.
Which is how it always happens. Second, full disclosure, our children go to the same school.
Mm-hmm. They do. Yeah.
Do you have any more disclosures?
I don't think so. Do we have more disclosures?
I have one more.
Okay, go ahead. One more.
I used to be fat.
Really?
Yeah.
That's shocking. Come on, when?
When I was 18, 19, 20.
Was this like a college thing? Like you were drinking beer?
It was not a college thing. It was... I know, and now I say that, and I'm like,
because I also like in college, I gained like 15 pounds freshman year, and like completely freaked out because I was always very, very thin, as happens, and then I just,
it just tailed off.
Yeah, I mean, I think I got into some restrictive eating patterns, like as one does in college, and then I just like got back to normal after college and was like, yeah, let's just ditch that.
And I should say the reason that that's pertinent, these confessions, is because today we're talking about GLP-1s.
Yes, we are.
What does that stand for?
I actually don't know. We
We'll
should look it up. We should look it up. And I'm sure that if I did know, I would not pronounce any of it right.
I know, right? But here, that's like Wegovy, Ozempic.
Trizepatide is one of them.
Who came up with that humdinger?
I don't know, and I don't know if I'm pronouncing that right either.
Yeah.
There's a lot of, like, in what I do, there's a lot of me, like, being like, did I pronounce that right?
Oh, I pronounce things incorrectly all the time, but with just a lot of
GLP-1 agonist,
gusto.
right, is their exact. Cleveland Clinic, great source. It's one of my favorites.
Oh, you know what? I think GLP just has to do okay, here we go.
Okay.
Glucagon like peptide 1 agonists.
Yeah.
Okay. So can you tell, how do they work?
Okay, so I am not a doctor.
Yeah.
I am a health editor. So I just want to put that disclaimer here.
This
So
is not medical advice.
This is not a medical podcast or medical advice, and I might make mistakes.
Yeah.
But from what I understand, GLP-1 is a hormone that already exists in our body. So when we eat food, it kind of helps like regulate our blood sugar, right? Okay. And it tells us like, okay, you're full. You're done. And so then it starts to drop slowly, and then it's, it's time to eat again. So you eat, and then, it's kind of like the same. It's just like these waves that go throughout the day, as so many processes do. Like even something like melatonin, which we naturally produce in our bodies, is going to spike at night and be lowest in the morning. So our bodies are constantly going through these processes of like spikes and falls. So the way that this works is that you, once a week, if you're on one of these, you inject it into subcutaneous fat, which is usually like your stomach.
Oh, okay.
And then GLP-1 spikes to this level that is higher than anyone's body could ever naturally produce. And it stays up there until a week later, and then it's time to inject it again.
Oh, for a whole week?
Yeah. Yes.
Oh, and more disclosure. This is not a disclosure. This is just a comment. Yesterday... so you'll see this was recorded some time ago from when it's being released. But yesterday, Ezra Klein put out an episode about GLP-1s, and something that I learned from that I found really interesting is that it mimics, well, this is what this chick said, but I'd never heard this before, that it mimics the way your body would react to a toxin being in the system.
I thought that was interesting, too, because I listened to that, too. I had never heard that before.
Right.
Yeah. And Ezra Klein said something like, it's like your body thinks you're having food poisoning all the time, which maybe that's true. I don't know. Again, not a doctor.
It sounded a little
it sounded a little extreme. Like I think what it is like, have you ever taken melatonin? Like
I have Nightmaresville.
In Nightmare. So it's like you're just adding extra of this thing that's already in your body, but you're adding like so much that maybe your body is not like loving it and would perhaps react in a toxin-like way.
Totally. I mean, I will say that when I have food poisoning, I get thin.
So do I. I mean, so I didn't have food poisoning, but I had a baby a year and a half ago. And I was like hovering like a few pounds above my pre-pregnancy weight. Got a stomach bug over Christmas, back in all my pants.
Wow.
Yeah.
So let me just say, because I hovered around, let me think.
Yes,
I hovered.
yes.
No, well, that's a whole other story. I'm post baby.
Yeah.
I hovered at about 20 pounds over my 20 to 25 pounds over my pre-baby weight for almost a year. Over a year.
But you had kids really close together.
That's
so you're
true.
talking about your second
back.
baby.
My second baby. Mm-hmm. Yeah, I had back-to-back pregnancies. I mean, whatever. That's a little dramatic.
Yeah,
within a year.
Back to back. To me, it was. My kids are 5 years apart. So to me, that is like back-to-back pregnancies.
Yeah, I mean, I'll tell you, it wasn't easy.
Yeah, for sure.
It was pretty intense.
Yeah, so go ahead. You hovered and...
Oh, but for me, I was not losing the weight.
Yeah.
So, I feel like it's what's hard about this conversation about GLP-1s and obesity and weight loss drugs is like, we all have our own personal experience that comes to bear on it. And therefore I have judgments, right? And as a formerly fat person.
Yeah.
I mean, fat.
I want to hear more about this. Let's get into specifics because it's a little hard looking at you to imagine this. So I just I need more information.
Get the tissues out. No, I don't want to be dramatic. Basically, my mom was very sick when I was a teenager. When I was 13, she was diagnosed with cancer, and then she was like incredibly ill for the entirety of my teenage years.
Yeah.
And the final 6 months of her life, the final year of her life. So when I was like 18, I was her like nurse.
Yeah.
Because
caregiver.
I was her caregiver.
Yeah.
And because the medical establishment had said to her, she'd gone to all the best hospitals, and I'm sure I've talked about this on the show before, but she'd gone to all the best hospitals all across the country. She'd been at Mount Sinai, she'd been at NIH, she'd been at Stanford. That was the one she'd been at. And I remember the Stanford doctor came in, and she was like and she would get these, like every 2 years, she would get a major surgery, neck to navel surgery, and get a debulking. Because the tumor was benign that she had, but it secreted a lot of material, mucin. So I remember the doctor came in the room and she was all excited for her new plan and he just, without even looking at her, without even looking at us, said, "There's nothing more we can do for you," and walked out of the room. And my mom was obviously like devastated,
right?
But also was not able to accept the reality that she was beyond medical aid,
right?
So she refused to go into hospice, and so I basically became her hospice nurse. But there was just like, we kind of fell through the cracks. As an only child of a single parent, there was just like not a lot of help. So anyway, as a way, probably you could say, to cope with this, I developed, I guess what you would call an eating, like just an eating disorder. A binge eating disorder.
Yeah.
And over the course of, I don't know, but probably from like 17 or 18 to, I put on like 60 pounds.
Wow.
So not like obese, but definitely not where my body wanted to be. And I remember like I would lay in bed and at night and I would like just imagine shaving off parts of my body. Do you know what I mean? I would like lie in bed and just like take this invisible psychic knife and just like
cut it off.
Cut it all off. So I can relate to the desire.
And how did you get out of that? Like, how did you eventually lose weight?
I became a Coke addict.
Okay. Yeah. Lots of healthy coping mechanisms going on here. Do you think that if you had GLP-1s, you would have taken those? Because that would have been a way healthier way out.
No, I think I was always destined to be a Coke addict, a Cokehead. I think that was just my...
That was also like sort of more chic back then.
I mean, well, then I started smoking meth, so it's like,
that transition isn't great. No, it's not the great. But back then, what? Because we're the same age, so that was like what, college?
Well, I didn't go to college, so I was like
okay.
partying with the gays in the Castro.
Okay.
Yeah, in our hometown.
Yeah.
Look, was it chic? Was it not chic? It had moments of being chic. It had moments that were requiem for a dream.
Yeah.
I used to live at. I lived in a recently converted SRO on the corner of 6th and Howard.
Wow.
Yeah, so that kind of gives you.
Yeah, I guess I was thinking about my friend who went to USC to like become an actress, and she was like, "Oh yeah, we all do coke." And I was like, because I went to UC Santa Cruz, then Davis, and I was like, "No one at Santa Cruz does coke."
Oh yeah,
they're
just
losers.
Yeah, well
they were just smoking
weed.
so much weed. Yeah, exactly. And there were people that were doing it, but it wasn't like I was like, "Oh, the people in LA are doing coke."
Yeah, the gays, people in LA.
But I do feel like in San Francisco, it was a little more like unruly than LA. Like it was, yeah.
I mean, as somebody who partied hard in San Francisco in the early aughts, it was nothing to.
I was not partying in San Francisco.
Yeah, I would not shake a fist. No, sniff up. Put
It's
up
also
your
like
nose.
now, like no one parties in San Francisco.
Dude, I know. Like we went so. I mean, we were all degenerate drug addicts, so it's like whatever. I'm not going to say that was great. Were there moments of glory?
Yeah.
Yes,
of course.
But okay, so drug addicts. Oh yeah, so I lost some of the weight by being a cokehead.
Great.
But that's a temporary fix. That's a Band-Aid, right? That's never really going to work. No. And so I continued in having a pretty intense eating disorder where I would go through periods of, I've done binging, I've done restriction, I've done it all.
Yeah.
And nothing really worked. And even though I got myself down to a like acceptable weight, I was still like in this obsession with food, and I was also like, I've been sober for a really long time now. Right. I've been sober for like 15 years, but like between the kind of alcohol and drug addiction and the eating disorder, like it really had me in like in its grips, So GLP-1s are being presented as like this miracle drug.
Yeah.
And it's interesting.
What's interesting about addiction that I think is worth talking about is that you can stop. Cocaine is certainly not essential for your body. Neither is alcohol. Neither is marijuana. Neither any of these things. But food is. And so if you're addicted to food, you're in a trap. And I think that that's where GLP-1s can be really amazing for people.
I guess my concern with anything like that is that because what they're finding out is that as soon as you go off GLP-1s,
it comes right back.
The weight comes back on. So you're basically signing yourself up to be on like a maintenance drug. Now, many people are on maintenance drugs like statins.
Totally.
And I guess to just also be full disclosure, I don't want to be on drugs.
Yeah. No, I agree. I mean, I think the other thing that's concerning is while like have people been on these drugs for years? Actually, yes, like for diabetes.
Okay.
But we don't know the long-term effects of this. Like we really don't. And one thing that really scares me, for me myself as a woman, is muscle loss because people, I think it's something like 40% of the weight that you lose from GLP-1s is muscle. And that's
40%?
Yeah, something crazy like that. Fact check me on that, but
right.
I think so. So that is not what you want to lose. You want to lose fat. You want to lose that dangerous visceral fat. You do not want to be losing muscle, especially women are at a greater risk of osteoporosis after menopause. So like if you're on a GLP-1 and you're losing all this muscle and then your bones are getting weaker and weaker and then you take a fall, you break your hip, that's not great. You're just so like brittle and fragile, and that's not what you want for your body.
Right. It just feels like, because what people talk about is like the food environment, at least in this country, is it's so industrialized and it's so toxic is kind of a trite word, but it's like, calorie dense, high sugar, high fat, saturated fats. It's like so ultra processed that basically you're presenting like, it's like you're offering people who are like, they wanted a cup of coffee, but you're giving them a hit of a crack pipe, just to continue with our drug analogies.
Drugs and
like a Snickers bar is the crack pipe. And then if there's like crack pipes lying around everywhere and you've tried crack, you're probably going to smoke more of it because the hit you get in your body, and I can say this from experience, is really intense.
Yeah. And if you've ever like tried to not eat sugar for a period of time and then you eat sugar again, it's insane. Like your whole body starts like buzzing, and you don't realize how intense this. I mean, sugar is a drug.
Sugar is a drug.
I do want to say, like, I think food addiction is very real, but also our society has completely set us up for it because we have ultra processed foods everywhere that are designed, similar to our phones, to be addictive. Like that's how all these companies are making money, and it's all really shady. Like Coca-Cola, for example, ran this huge study back in like the low fat times where they paid to basically have the results be that like sugar is not bad for you, it's fat that's bad for you. And then it comes out like, okay, they funded that entire study. So it's really hard. It feels kind of like things are just stacked against us all the time. And so like you walk down to the grocery store and there's like these brightly colored packages of like Cheetos and Snickers bars and Reese's peanut butter cups, and they taste amazing. And so of course people are addicted to food because they're just like these addictive legal drugs that are just like in packages,
and they're literally everywhere, and they don't even cost very much money.
No, they don't. They cost less money than like the organic good stuff,
the stuff that's not processed. And I'm sure a lot of people know this, but just in case people don't, the way that our bodies evolved is like the reason sweets are so appealing to us is because anything in nature that tastes sweet has a higher density of calories than something else. So we seek that out because it means we're getting a big caloric kind of payload. And the thing is that back in the old days when we were hunting and gathering, as we were often going hungry for periods of time, so it really mattered. You needed the dense calories, which like this can be borne out if you have children and you just watch what they choose to eat. Like, are they
absolutely
will they eat a vegetable? No. Why? There's literally no big caloric hit with vegetables.
And like breast milk is extremely sweet.
It is. I have tried it.
I did try it once. It was an accident.
Oh, mine wasn't. I ate my placenta.
I know. Oh my God.
I'm one of those
Actually,
chicks.
yeah, I totally see that for you. I would absolutely never do that. Did you get like a supplement, or you just
girl,
like
no,
ate it?
I just ate that. No, I put it. So I had. So for those who are uninitiated, because the thing is like I am a Maha. I'm a Maha sympathizer,
but not a Maha.
I wouldn't call myself Maha because I have. Well, first of all, I wouldn't really call myself anything. So there's that. Fundamentally, I'm a contrarian. So I'll just put that there.
I actually kind of am too, but no, I'm not Maha. I really believe in Western medicine.
Okay, so I really don't believe in Western medicine. So I have a lot of sympathies with Maha, and there are things which I actually wanted to get to later, but I guess we can talk about it now, which is like somebody came on the show once and they were like, all roads lead to Maha, which is sort of true. Do you know what I mean? If you like follow anything, it goes there. But I guess what I want to say right now in terms of like eating the placenta. So basically, for those who don't know, when you give birth, the placenta comes out
You
after.
deliver the placenta after,
which is like, it's like huge.
It's like meat. It's like a steak.
It's like a giant steak liver. It's like a giant organ. It's like I remember thought it was amazing.
Mine like sitting in a beaker.
Well, they shouldn't be. That's the thing is like, so I did an unmedicated home birth.
Yes,
yeah.
I do know that.
So that's the like kind of.
I mean, my older daughter has told me many times that your younger daughter was born on your bathroom floor.
She does?
Yeah,
they talk about it.
Yeah, she talked about it like last year a lot. She thought it was funny. It was like a joke. It was like she was telling a joke.
I didn't know that they were conveying that information.
They talk about like the way that they were birthed.
That is so interesting.
Yeah.
Well, I guess it is like, it's the first.
Interesting. It's also like way more interesting than either of my kids' births, like in hospitals.
No, I don't mean that. I meant like the origins. Of course, you're interested in your origin story.
Yeah.
The first
for sure.
plot point in your life.
Yeah. And her is way more interesting than my daughter's. To be like born on a bath. Was it on the floor or was it like in a tub?
No, it was on the floor.
Okay.
Babies, in my experience, want to be born in the smallest place possible. They're like cats.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? Because it's like safer.
Yeah.
But no, I was just on the floor, on the threshold of the shower. It's like my butt was in the shower.
Wow.
And then that baby
just came right out. Yeah. Anyway,
so I ate my placenta. So your placenta comes out. It's amazing. It looks like a tree. It looks like the tree of life.
I think I remember saying to them, "Don't show me that."
Dude, it's really cool.
It's so
it made me like
I think it's cool. I think it is so okay. I just want to say I think pregnancy and birth is so cool. Like I think like the fact that you like I will go to any of my friends' ultrasounds with them because I think it is so cool to see this baby growing inside. Right. I think birth is cool. I think all of that is cool. I just don't think the placenta is cool. Except for I think it's so cool that it like nourished them. I think that's amazing.
But the pattern on it, because I saw it like right after it plopped. It literally has branches like a tree. It just looks like, you know how in like pseudo-indigenous, like illustrations for like a pseudo-indigenous book or something, you know, just like that tree that's everywhere.
Yeah,
it just literally looks like that tree, dude.
So did you cook it first?
Hell no, bro. So this is actually crazy. My ex...
He cooked it?
He butchered it for me.
Wow.
Which is like, the guy is definitely squeamish.
I'll
say that. Yeah, he's a squeamish guy.
Yeah.
So that was a true act of love for which I appreciate. And then so he cut it into like kind of 1-inch square pieces, and then I would put it in a smoothie every day.
That's so disgusting.
And eat it.
So you would blend it.
I would blend it, but it was like sometimes
did you
get
ever
a bite
eat it?
of gristle.
Did you ever like eat it on its own? Like did you ever just take a bite?
No, but there would be chunks.
Were you worried about getting like E. coli or something?
Definitely not.
Okay, so and how long did it take to consume the entire thing?
Well, you put it in the freezer. So you freeze it immediately after cutting it. Okay,
so then that gets probably foodborne illnesses.
It usually you should, like a month and a half. And you plop it into your daily smoothie. And I will tell you, as soon as I would have that smoothie, it is like doing a line of like pure Colombian.
You don't think that it was the placebo effect?
As a former drug addict, I don't think it was the placebo effect.
You don't think, so do you think, like, how do you think this benefited your body? Do you think it helped you produce more breast milk? Do you think that it gave you more energy?
I would say like iron rich.
Iron.
So it, like, and I tend towards anemia.
Okay.
So it like returned iron to me. I would just say it would be equivalent to eating like
a steak.
A red meat, but red meat squared.
Okay.
That's kind of how it felt.
Like when you go and you get like some beef stew, like the beef stew meat. Do you know what I'm talking about?
Yeah.
How it's like that's what I imagine you consuming these little pieces of your placenta.
Yeah, it's a little gnarlier looking than that.
I mean, again, I literally told them, don't show me that. Take it away. Throw it in the trash can with the rest of your medical waste.
So if I hadn't eaten it, I would have buried it. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah, and like grown a tree there. I have a friend who did that. She lives in Eugene, Oregon.
But like, so you're from the Bay Area though. So how come it didn't like seep into your blood like that?
I don't know. Well, my mom is a nurse. I think that's part of it. Okay. My dad is a lawyer, and he dealt with a lot of medical malpractice cases. Okay. So I think that I've been like very steeped in the medical community in this like subconscious way my whole life, but also like very devoted to feeling good. I remember this was like, so I was never a fat kid, but in college, I had never exercised before. I was very like, just like lay around as a teenager and like ate Cheez-Its. But just didn't get fat.
Cheez-Its are really good. Dude.
Yeah. And I started exercising when I was a sophomore in college, or freshman in college. And I was like, the effects on my mental health were insane. Like I went from being this like, oh, everything's like kind of depressing, to feeling like really energized and really happy. And it just made me like really interested in what was going on in my body when I started doing all this. So then I got very into the wellness side of it, like eating really well, exercising every day, and seeing like how different I felt when I was taking care of my body versus not. And it was crazy. And I think it was especially the mental health effects that kept me going, because I felt like such a completely different person in a good way, and like so much more excited about life. But then I also think I had this Western medicine side of me that I'm a person who, this probably isn't you due to your past, but I very much thrive in moderation. Like I am very much like, take a little bit of the Western medicine, take a little bit of the Eastern medicine. Even when I'm working, like I am, those people that are like, I thrive on a deadline. Like I do a little bit of work every day. I like to get 7 to 8 hours of sleep. I don't like to get 10 hours of sleep.
So you just are a GLP-1.
I am. I do think that I am a human GLP-1. Yes.
Wow. I can't relate to that.
Yeah. And you know what though? Like I think when I was in college, like I told you, I gained like the freshman 15 as so many people do. And I did start restricting. and I became obsessed with food. Like, that is the only time in my life that I can say that I've experienced food noise, which is what people talk about with GLP-1s, where I was like, okay, like I just finished breakfast. What am I going to have for lunch? How many calories does this have? And like, ooh, that pastry looks so good. Like, you're just obsessed with it. And that's what I think is so interesting, is like when you are restricting, you want that thing that you're restricting so badly.
This is exactly what I was thinking when I was listening to the Ezra Klein last night, because part of the confession he makes in that is that he also was a former fat kid. He was fat when he was a teenager, and that he still his whole life has struggled with food obsession. And what I felt like he really missed, which is exactly what you're saying right now, which is like, yes, if you restrict your food, then the result of that is that you build an obsession and then you get into an eating disorder.
Right. Exactly. Yes.
And that is what I think people don't talk about, because obviously diet culture makes so much money for so many people. So what I will say, and I have talked about this on the show before, is the way I got out of having an eating disorder is that I did something that worked for me. I'm not saying it works for everybody, but I did something called intuitive eating. Have you heard of Janine Roth?
Yeah.
So I followed her protocol, and like I really did it. So what that meant is like for a year and a half, every time before I ate, I wrote down what I was gonna eat, and I wrote down how I was feeling.
Yeah.
And the whole thing that she proposes, and I'm oversimplifying it, and you can get her books, they're very helpful, is that like the way to get out of the cycle of an eating disorder and food obsession is to stop restricting altogether.
Yeah, I know. I have a friend who did that, and they're like, carry around a bag of M&Ms, and every time you want one, just take one.
Just have one.
Just have one. Yeah.
Now, I will say, so I had a very serious active eating disorder, let's say from like 18 to 25, 26. And the first thing that you're supposed to do with the intuitive eating is, you stop restricting it all. So it's like, if you want a sundae, baby,
go get that sundae.
Go get that sundae. Yeah. You want that? You want a double cheeseburger with fries? Go get it. And it was terrifying because it felt like I didn't know what would happen.
So you were restricting. Well, I guess you had your Coke phase, and then were you just like restricting after that?
I would go through periods. I would restrict. Then I would binge. There was a period where I was purging. And basically, when I was around 24, I got involved with what called itself like a food recovery program. But
I've had friends do that. Yeah.
But in my mind, it actually just kind of promulgated the same stuff where I was still on a diet and I weighed and measured my food, but it was just like a more reasonable diet. But then what would happen is I would inevitably binge on foods that were like safe foods.
Right.
And kind of this program's idea was that like you just can't have sugar, and it's sugar that's a drug, but everything else is fine. But then I would like find myself binging on like nuts.
Yeah, right.
And I hadn't eaten sugar in years.
And there are always like these workarounds with sugar, like maple syrup is fine. Like with these different things, there's stevia.
Well, I was so strict. I had no honey, no maple syrup, nothing. Okay. But I just intuitively had this sense. I was like, I don't think it's sugar that's my problem. I think it's a behavior.
Right.
Do you know what I mean? It's a more...
Totally.
So through the intuitive eating, I was able to, and it was terrifying because I was like, how fat will I get? I had like gotten to a place where I was like, not exactly in the body I wanted, but maybe I don't really want to throw out numbers because I feel like it's not helpful
for people too.
But like I was at a place that was like maybe 10 to 15 pounds heavier than I wanted to be, but livable. And she, you know, part of what Janine Roth says is like, be ready. Like you may gain 10 to 15 pounds, but she's like, it won't go beyond that. And that's what happened to me. And then just to fast forward, after like kind of giving up control and not trying to restrict at all, after a couple of years, my body, without any effort, without exercising more or anything, just fell to the natural level it wanted to be at, which is...
And, you know, I do think, and I've heard, that if you... So you said that you started gaining weight when you were 18.
I mean... It was not natural. I was like, I was binging my face off.
But we do have this set point that our bodies want to be at. And often, like what I've heard, which is probably changing with all the processed food, is that it's like when you're 17 or 18, that is like kind of what your body is like. Depending on when you grow. Like I think that some people go through puberty later and whatnot. But like for me, I'm pretty much the same weight I was when I was 18. And I don't know if that's like triggering for people either, but your body wants to get back to this set point.
So to complicate this even further, I was vegan from 15 to 18, which I think really destroyed my body.
Yeah,
I didn't
probably.
really finish puberty. I grew 2 inches at 18
Yeah.
because I'd been, so for me, the anemia stuff, like it's interesting you're talking about like when you ate well and you exercised, like you became so much less depressed.
Yeah.
For me, it was like when I started eating meat again.
Of course.
I was like able to live
Yeah.
and be a regular person as opposed to a layabout.
Are placentas vegan? Does it if it comes from you?
I'm gonna just say that if anybody's vegan, they're probably not eating their own placenta because it's just like the personality type. You have to. First, I just also want to say like I love gristle. Like I chew on bones.
Ew.
See, do you know what I mean? So it's you know what's really crazy. My youngest daughter,
The one who was born on the bathroom
the
floor.
one who was born on the bathroom floor, also eats gristle. Also chews on bones.
So
did you
she's
think
you.
that she is? But like, did you ever think that would be genetically determined? Like how disgusting of an
Genetics
eater
are very
you are?
interesting.
Dude,
Yeah, how they come out. Yeah.
I sort of feel like they briefly mentioned in the Ezra Klein show, this woman was like, some health guy who's like, he doesn't believe in free will. And he wrote an article from a book from that perspective about health, which I was like, I don't want to flirt with the, like, there's no free will because that sounds like a recipe to make a bunch of irresponsible decisions.
Yeah.
But when you have kids, you're sort of just like, oh, they're just like that.
Yeah, I know. Well, they just come out like that.
Especially
when you have two and you see the difference and you're like, well, sure, there's some small differences. Maybe like, you know, we had one and then we had two. So like the second one's getting half the attention, but mostly they just come out like that. It's very interesting.
And it sort of makes me to make a hard pivot to something completely unrelated. Like when people are talking about reparenting, which maybe people talk about this a lot in your world. That's like wellness adjacent. Well, okay. So I was thinking about reparenting, which like I'm very allergic to any kind of therapeutic language in general because I
think we're over therapized a little bit.
100%.
Like people use therapy words as like weapons now.
Yeah. I have a hard time taking it seriously when people say it's
when
like
people are like, I don't feel safe, but they mean like emotionally safe. I don't know. I've done therapy for periods for specific reasons, but I just think we're a little too steeped in the culture at this point.
This is a solidly anti-therapy podcast for sure, so that's a safe space to express feelings like this.
So I do feel safe here.
Okay, you do feel safe here.
I do feel safe.
And I think when people say that they don't feel safe, what they mean is that they feel uncomfortable. And I understand how in a world where like the food is all packaged a certain way and we can all be on antidepressants and we live in climate controlled spaces and we watch Netflix all the time, that like being uncomfortable might be hard for people. But unfortunately, like the nature of living.
Have you heard about this new trend? It's called friction maxing. Because we've completely taken the friction out of our lives. Like you don't even have to see a person. You can just like click an app and then someone brings a meal to your door. And you don't even have to like open the door and look at them.
I would say that much of my life has always been based on friction maxing. Like I don't shop at corporations.
I know you don't. That was one of the first things I ever learned about you.
Did I just say that?
Yeah, I enjoyed it so much. I was like the conversations that I have with most moms are like very boring, and I was like, this girl, I can have an actual amazing conversation with her and not be bored for even 1 second, because like we're not even talking about our kids. We're talking about how she won't shop at Trader Joe's because she's like too many people that are just brain dead, and you know, the corporations, and
but that's, to me, that's like, first of all, I should work on not saying that straight off the bat. That's embarrassing behavior.
What I loved was when the grocery store that you shopped at got shut down by the health department, and I was like, I ran up to you. I was like, "Did you hear?" But I wasn't like serves you right. I was like, the plot thickens. Like, this is exciting,
bro. You guys, I don't know if you heard this piece of Upper West Side gossip, but Bar Zini's,
don't shop there.
Do not shop there. Look, I love a neighborhood place. I love a mom and pop. I love strange, bizarre places, but they had rats living in the produce.
Yeah, and I remember you were like, I remember this because it was so funny. You were like, I remember I did get a box of tea and it looked a little nibbled. But I was like, it's probably fine.
I mean, yeah, so my tolerance for disgusting things is high.
Yeah.
Like, I've eaten bugs and stuff. Like, I snorted my mother's ashes. Do you know what I mean?
Wow.
So, like,
I really didn't see that coming. Like, of the things that you've told me, like, the placenta lines up For sure. Like,
just
that's definitely you.
But this is the Maha. There is something like...
You think that Maha people snort their dead parents' ashes?
I think they're... Well, like RFK, the drug addict to health obsessive pipeline is pretty well established.
Absolutely. Yeah.
Because if you've put literally any street drug in your system... And then you turn around and you can't imagine partaking in seed oils. Mm-hmm. To me, that speaks of somebody who's a little bit delusional.
Yeah.
Like me.
Yeah.
I mean, I draw the line at the seed oil stuff.
Yeah. I mean, yeah.
Tell me, should I not be drawing the line? My friends in California are like, how could you ever
eat seed oils?
A seed oil.
I don't know. Like moderation. Like, who cares? Like, it's just like try to use olive oil.
But also, what I think what Maha really misses, or they just conveniently don't want to look at, is like there's forever chemicals everywhere.
Here's my take on Maha. Okay.
Yeah.
Let's do some defense of Western medicine.
Okay.
So I guess their whole thing is like, do you know that ballerina farm influencer?
Yeah. Hannah Nielsen.
Yeah, Nealman or something.
Yeah.
So there's this like movement to get back to like how it was done 100 years ago or 200 years ago. People died when they were like 30, you know?
Totally.
And the reason that we don't die when we're 30 now is because of vaccines and because of antibiotics. And that's amazing. And there's just nothing we can really say to like, because like all roads point to these vaccines and antibiotics like are why people are alive.
Sure. I think the critique of that from my perspective, and I don't think that this is Maha's critique necessarily, is in terms of antibiotics, they have been so overprescribed that now they are no longer functional.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
So I think that that's part of it. It's like overusing tools that are in and of themselves incredible tools, but using them in a prophylactic way that's incredibly detrimental to people's health. And long term, we are now grappling with this. There are many antibiotic resistant strains. This is also happening with funguses, I believe, right now.
Yeah.
Which is a big deal.
Well, this is like America, you know, like we want, it's like just getting back to GLP-1s.
Yeah.
We find something that works and we are obsessed with it and we want it and we want it and we want more and we want more and we don't want to just go back and do the things that just work. They're boring.
Yeah.
Right? And I think that that's true of medicine. I think, you know, like even there's these amazing drugs for heart conditions now. And people are like, I mean, I don't think everybody, but some people are like, you know what, like I don't need to exercise or eat well because I can just get on a statin and it's going to be fine.
Yeah.
And that's where it does get scary. And I think it's all capitalism and there's a lot of big pharma baked into this, right? Like, it's just like, they're like, buy it because it'll cure your thing and let's keep going and not just get back to the basics. And that's...
Yeah, and I think that's what the GLP-1s are doing, right? Which is like we have a food environment with all this ultra-processed food, which we give people, and then instead of is making them sick, and then on top of it, they can take a medication, which may have some devastating side effects that they'll have to be on the rest of their life, instead of which is just like complicating this problem.
Let's stop with this, and then like the frenzy around it is crazy. Like people getting these compounded GLP-1s that are just like
that. What's that?
So basically you can get like an official prescription from your doctor and get like these mainstream FDA approved ones like Ozempic and whatever. Then there's these pharmacies that are just like putting the chemicals together and they're like, here you go. And we don't really know, like this isn't to say that they're like laced with something scary, but like they're just kind of like not regulated. And this is all coming because there's simply not enough and they want people to keep spending money. And so it's just like, go. Like I was at a nutrition conference last summer and this nutritionist told me that like a chiropractor was DMing her on Instagram being like, I'm selling compounded GLP-1s if you want to buy some to give to your clients. And like, why is a chiropractor?
This is interesting because this is like the drug-addictification of all of America.
Yes.
Which is like, we'll send to China. So when you're a drug addict and someone offers you, I mean, if you're a garbage head, someone offers you some drugs, you don't know where they're from, and you're like, sure, I'll take it.
Yeah, totally.
But now everybody's like that. They'll get the peptides from China. They'll do these stacked GLP-1s, the supplements off of TikTok. And I just want to say, I would not suggest that you take anything that you find on the internet through an influencer, through a chiropractor.
Yeah, like not on TikTok shop. Like no.
Don't, because they found, I was just reading something about supplements, like they found lead in supplements.
Yeah.
And you know what? You know what science is really certain? And I know this because one of my kids had lead poisoning. You do not want to consume lead.
No.
You don't. There's really no
there's no
workaround.
upside.
There is zero
and
upside.
many downsides to consuming lead. Yeah.
So, but I feel like I would be remiss if I left the vaccine on the table and didn't pick it up. Here's my feeling about vaccines.
Okay.
I understand the deep skepticism of MAHA people, of the medical establishment and Western medicine in general. My own direct experience with my mother, you know, and I've talked about this before.
Oh, God. Yeah.
She was accidentally given a hysterectomy.
Yeah.
Right?
Right.
I saw her cycle through the most advanced hospitals in the United States of America. They didn't know how to help her. Now, they can't save everybody, right? And I'm not saying that because the medical establishment failed my mother, they shouldn't be believed in. But what I will say is, having seen the levels of incompetence, and even the most storied institutions, I feel skeptical. And I feel like when people, you know, people often get all up in arms about the vaccine stuff. And I'm like, well, maybe it would be helpful to understand people's vaccine hesitancy from the perspective of, like, what about the Dalcon Shield? Which, for those who don't know, it was an IUD that was created in the United States in the 60s and 70s that caused death in some women, permanent infertility. And you know what they did when they got them off the American market? They just sent them for free to Africa. So it's like also FDA approval of Oxycontin, right? There are all these ways in which the medical establishment in the United States, it's motivated by corporate interests. So of course we need to be skeptical about it. And what I think needs to happen with people who are inclined in the MAHA way is to, like, bring them back into the tent and be like, and I think what people don't talk about enough with vaccines is, like, yes, are there risks with the vaccines? There are. They are very, very minor. The risk to your child of getting measles, and I know
get your measles vaccine.
People say that measles are not that big of a deal. The way in which they are a big deal is, even if you get a case of the measles and then recover from it, it lowers your overall functioning of your immune system, akin to AIDS, for the rest of your life. Right? So even if measles doesn't kill your child, it is going to affect their long-term health. But I think what we have to say to people is, like, of course there are risks with vaccines. There are risks with everything. And just, like, present people with information and say, like, yes, there is a way in which the medical establishment in this country has really failed us. But that doesn't mean we need to throw out the baby with the bathwater.
Exactly. I think, it's interesting. And I think it's like, you know, we've all felt dismissed in a medical setting. And, like, your experience with your mom is totally valid. And I think, like, you have your annual doctor's appointment, you have, like, 5 minutes with your doctor, and they are just like, okay, bye. Like, I remember with my older daughter, when I was pregnant, I was really anxious. I just was, like, feeling, like, more anxious than I'd ever been. And I go to the doctor and I told her, I was like, I'm just feeling really anxious. And she just, like, handed me a pamphlet. She was like, here's some therapists. And then I tried calling them and, like, no one called me back. And I think, you know, when you don't feel like anybody is really helping you or hearing you, like, you start to seek out your own information. You start to seek out individuals who, like, you know, Andrew Huberman, or just these, like, leaders, thought leaders, Joe Rogan in the health and wellness space, who will give you information. They sound so convincing. They sound so caring. And you're like, okay, like, this is more than I'm getting from my doctor. So let me listen to this. And it's sad and it's scary. And I don't want to invalidate people's experiences. Like, I'm lucky I haven't had really negative experiences with the medical system. But, you know, that's why now, you know, a lot of people, like, I don't know why you wanted to have a birth at home, because you're like, I don't want to be in a hospital. Like, it doesn't feel like a safe space or, you know, caring space.
Well, I just didn't want a bunch of interventions.
Yeah.
And And the reality is that from everybody that I've known, and also the research that I've done, is that when you're in a hospital, obviously the likelihood for interventions is much higher. And part of that is because they can be billed for. And
right.
That's just
it's
the reality.
Complicated. And do I understand why this MAHA thing is happening? I do. I absolutely do. I think there is so much distrust, and I think that that's warranted distrust. But I'm way, way, way more afraid of what's happening when people are not vaccinating their children. And believing these woo-woo, if we just give them this supplement or this honey with whatever, then they won't get this, they won't get measles. They'll have a strong immune system on their own. Well, again, no, this is why so many people are alive right now, is because of vaccines.
Totally. Yeah, I don't know how to get people back in the... I think it starts with, and it sounds like I talk to a lot of people on the left who just their immediate reaction is derision toward anti-vax people, and it sounds like that's not where you're at.
No.
And but on the left, by and large, it does feel like the messaging that I hear, and I feel like that's the first thing that needs to happen is we need to just respect people.
We need to acknowledge that that this is a real thing, and it is. I know so many people who have felt so let down, and what you were saying with your mom having an unnecessary major surgery, that's terrible. And it's all tied up in corporations, and it's all tied up in often just you just don't know, so you're maybe we just try this. But something's got to give here.
Something's got to give. And so we're going to take a short break.
Okay.
We're going to talk, I think what we should talk about in the second half, we're going to speak about GLP-1s and this optimization culture and sort of how this idea you could just take a pill and then everything is going to be amazing.
Yeah.
If you want to hear the second half of this conversation, you can go to Critical Babe Theory, patreon.com/Critical Babe Theory, and we will be right back. Thank you.